while, but I have spoken here 3 or 4 times over the last 5 years. I also have led classes for 2.5 years, and many of you we've shared the classes, and that's wonderful. It's nice to see you here. I am a ministerial student, and I'm an absolute lover of this philosophy, and I'm not a candidate. You'll all understand that in a moment. My talk actually has 3 titles. They are all 3 very powerful and very meaningful to me. The first is Ocean of Inspiration, the second, Ocean of Possibility, and the third, Fresh Manna. Ocean of Inspiration. There were 3 or 4 of us standing around in class, and somebody said to Reverend Catherine, I think we should all have the same topic. Boom, 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 we came up with Ocean of Inspiration. That's it. It's a wonderful topic. That's my school topic. I don't always listen real well. So I walked away with the idea of Ocean of Possibility, but possibility is a word that's been so powerful to me for years. I just love the word. So I also wrote up as Ocean of Possibility, and the third one is Fresh Manna, and we'll talk about that in a couple of moments. I asked Gerry if I could take the podium today because there are a few things that I would really like to share. Last week, Teresa gave her last talk, and it was sort of a shock to a number of the people, a number of us here in the room. I feel very strongly that had we been able to vote on this, the vote would have been absolutely everybody to 1. But that was not the case. Teresa really had her reasons, and I honor them. Teresa's life has gotten to where it really wasn't working, at least not as Teresa felt it should be. As Teresa said, she had to recapture the control of her life. Those of us who have watched CSL Manatee for a few years were aware that Teresa took this group, took this entire church, the way we function, and she just ratcheted it up. She ratcheted it up to a whole new level. Her energy was wonderful, her excitement was enrolling, she was masterful in the way she moved us into this beautiful new space we now occupy. The attendance has gone up, and of course, why wouldn't it? Her talks have consistently been wonderful. All this being said, and being true, we have to say we love Teresa, we love what she did, I for one will miss her, and what is, is. What is. What Teresa left us with was an ocean of inspiration, an ocean of possibility. And we can find for ourselves fresh manna. Let me talk for a moment about fresh manna, but before I really get to that, let me talk for a moment about where this topic comes from. The first time I ever spoke in a Science of Mind church, somebody came up to me and said, remember, this is Science of Mind. There are 2 words you can never say. You can never say the word Jesus, and you can never say the word Bible. I'm a good listener. I'm not a good rememberer. Also, the guy who's talking is Gerry the historian. And as a historian, I really understand and know that the Bible as a document, or more correctly, a bundle of documents, is the basis for our whole cultural tradition, our whole Judeo-Christian tradition. It goes back 10,000 years. We are who we are based on the Bible, for good or for bad. It has shaped our culture. With that being said, I don't see how we can ignore it. I don't see how we can take this book and just throw it out like it doesn't exist. We humans today are in the cultural tradition in the book. There's some things that are really pretty wonderful in the book, and there are some things that are pretty silly in the Bible. Let's take a look at a couple of the wonderful things. Let's take a look at Jesus for a moment. In John 10:28, Jesus said, I and the Father are one. In John 14:10, Jesus said, "He that believeth in me, greater works than these shall he do." He said, "Whoever ye shall ask him, whatever ye shall ask in my name, that will I do." He said, "If he shall ask anything in my name, I will do it." Except for the King James language, which is quite archaic, these statements are basic New Thought. The only thing that the Bible doesn't really say about Jesus is that I believe he was a science of mind minister. Or if not that, at least he certainly read Ernest Holmes' book, Science of Mind. There are also, let's go to the New Testament. There's some things in the Old Testament that are really very silly in today's world. So why don't we look at those and maybe laugh for a moment. In Leviticus 25:44, it states that we may possess slaves, both male and female, provided they are purchased from a neighboring nation. I wonder if I can get a Canadian. I've always wanted to own a Canadian. My daughter got married 5 or 6 years ago. I had not read Exodus 21:7 before that. Had I read it, I wouldn't have missed the opportunity of my life. I could have sold her into slavery. I wonder how much I would have gotten for her. One last one. After reading Leviticus 11:6, I've always had a great question in my mind. It states, "Touching the skin of a dead pig will make me unclean." So my question is, I've always wondered, if I wear gloves, can I still play football? Okay, that's enough of that. There are many writings in the Old Testament, and many of them are truly profound from a metaphysical meaning and point of view. One of my favorites, absolute favorites, is the story of Abram, who later became Abraham, and traditionally is considered to be the father of Jewish culture, Christian culture, and Islamic culture. I believe that in the story, Abraham, it talks to us metaphysically for today and right now, today. I think it's very, very powerful. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. In dealing with God, Abraham was told by God to take his son Isaac up into the mountains and sacrifice him. Now, I'm a father. The basis of this story is incomprehensible to me. However, the metaphysical meaning is profound. So if we can jump over the several thousand-year-old tradition of sacrifice, etc., and come to that metaphysical meaning, it is profound. Abram took his son Isaac up into the mountains and was prepared to sacrifice him. As the story is written, it's clear that this hurt Isaac, just like it would hurt hurt Abram, just as it would hurt any one of us. And at the very last moment, God stopped him, said, "Remove Isaac and put a sheep in his place." And Abraham did. Abraham believed in God. He believed in the source. He surrendered. He surrendered to the source. He removed that human ego that has to control everything, that human ego that has to blame. He removed that, and God rewarded him. Rewarded Abraham by making him father, patriarch of what was the known world at the time. The metaphysical lesson is easy. The lesson is easy. It is not easy to trust. It's not easy to release. It's not easy to believe in our source. The phrase that slips so comfortably and beautifully from our lips, "Let go and let God," it's not that easy. It's not that easy to trust in source. It really tests us at times. The story of Abram ties right into the title of one of the titles of today's talk, Fresh Manna. After Moses and Aaron had led the Jews out, or the Israelites actually, they were at that time out of Egypt, it became very clear that Moses did not have the facility to set up a mess hall for 1,000 people. People were hungry. They were starving. They were complaining. They were saying, you know, it's better being back with the Egyptians. We had meat once in a while. We had all the bread we could eat every day. So the people were saying, I'd rather be a slave and have some food than be free. Moses had a different vision. Moses knew the truth. So Moses appealed to God, and God told Moses that he would give his people fresh manna every day. Now, contrary to our skit the other day, no bagels, just manna. But there were a couple of rules. You can gather all that you can eat that day, but absolutely, you can't keep it overnight. It'll spoil and become lethal. Now, you and I, let's look at our human nature. We've been starving. We're hungry. We go out in the morning, and here's manna laying fresh on that damp grass, damp with dew. We fill our baskets. We eat it. It's delicious. We get our fill for the day. Is it human nature at the end of the day to throw the rest of it away? I think not. I think human nature is to hoard it, at least a little bit overnight, just in case. Just in case God forgets to put it out there tomorrow morning. I find this really interesting. If we go to that place, God has never really forgotten to have the sunrise every morning, but we as humans have such little faith. We're really skeptical. Do we know, do we trust that God will give us fresh manna every day? Okay, now let's talk for a few moments about us here at CSL Manatee. Do we know, do we trust that God will give us fresh manna every day? Do we know that no matter how good the manna was yesterday, we cannot hoard it? We cannot dwell on it. We must know that there will be fresh manna every morning. I love Science of Mind magazine. Science of Mind magazine this morning had a quote from George Bernard Shaw. The possibilities are numerous, and once we decide to act and not react, In our article today, Reverend Joni McFadden says, the challenge in any given situation is deciding whether to act or react. To jump to victimhood or act from a place of awareness. Knowing that from any and every situation, good can unfold and we can choose the good to prevail. In no way am I here to tell the church what it must do. I'm here just to tell you all and me what we must do. Whoops, I think I have to erase half that statement. I can't tell you all what to do. The only one I can talk to is me. I have to tell me what to do. Whoops, I think I need to erase the rest of the statement. I'm not going to tell me what to do. What I really want to tell me is who I'm going to be. Who my essence will be. What I am going to be. What I'm going to think. How I'm going to act and not react. How I'm going to respond to my own thoughts and the thoughts of others that are going to get dumped on me. 10 or 12 of us just completed a visioning course. The course has a number of basic components, and one of them is the 4 stages of spiritual development. I don't want to talk about all of them, but I do want to talk about the first one, which is stage 1, to me, also known as victimhood. Most of us learn to be victims at a very young age. A few examples. Well, he made me do it, or she made me do it. I didn't have anything to say about that. It was just that way. Why is this happening to me again? A good friend of mine, Michael Rice, wrote a whole book titled, Why is this happening to me again? Back to victimhood. If it worked for her, I'd be perfect. Or if it weren't for him, my life would be wonderful. You know, we learn this being a victim from the very beginning. And when anything happens in our life, we tend to jump into the victimhood. And part of that victimhood is we want to place the blame. That's a basic part of it. We want to put blame somewhere. And who do I not want to blame? Who does Gerry not want to blame? Gerry. Who will I blame? You. Him, there, the weather, anything. There's another way to look at this. Those things that happen, it just happened. It just happened. I'm not responsible. You're not responsible. The weather wasn't responsible. It just happened. When we're victims, we're bound up in a story and drama. We have absolutely no mental or emotional room to create, to be truly thankful, to get out there and live, to get out there and use what we've got, to be creative and dynamic. Now let's go back to Science of Mind for today and read the affirmation. I choose to act, not react, knowing that good is always unfolding in my life, and I allow myself to see it clearly. You and I today, if we let go of yesterday, if we let go of the past, we know that tomorrow will be bright and beautiful, exciting day, and we'll have everything we need and more. Teresa left. It just happened. And we're wonderful. We'll have the excitement and the joy that she left us with. We'll be sitting in this beautiful place that she put together for us. It's wonderful. Now, there are a couple specifics that are coming up. Bread and butter specifics. Last week, Teresa mentioned that Reverend Susie Shadle is going to come and be with us next week. I know Reverend Susie. She's a great lady. She's a super teacher. She had her own church, and for quite a while, she was on the core council of United. Doing counseling with boards and practitioners and churches is something that she has a lot of experience in. Reverend Susie has moved to Sarasota. How neat is that? And Dr. John Waterhouse asked her to sort of watch over us. How neat is that? She's got the talents. So she's coming next week, going to give us a hand. Reverend Susie has huge experience. And in my opinion, we are truly blessed to have her come. And I'm looking forward to her being here next week. Susie, to me, is fresh manna for me to pick up. We at CSL Manatee go for, where do we go from here? Where do we go? With that opening, I asked the question, how beautiful is this? How powerful is this? How exciting is this? How proactive is this? How magnificent is this? Do I know exactly what will happen? Of course not. Neither do you. None of us do. We'll go to bed tonight and we'll get up tomorrow morning and there will be fresh manna on the ground. If I choose to see it, I'll see it. If I don't choose to see it, I won't see it. However, I know, and that's know with a capital K, I know that there will be fresh manna. It will be there. We at CSL are sitting in the middle of an ocean of awesome. We are sitting in the middle of an ocean of inspiration. We are sitting in the middle of an ocean of possibility. And we have a whole field of fresh manna right there waiting for us at each and every moment. Now, people, I thought I'd end the talk right there. But again, the serendipities just keep coming to us. This is the other magazine I love, Creative Thought. Yesterday, Saturday, there's an article in here that's a reprint from 1966 from Dr. Raymond Charles Barker. I don't think there are any other reprints, but here it was yesterday, and I'd like to read one paragraph and close with that. Inspiration is mine. Idea after idea comes to me from the wisdom of the ageless mind of God. At every instant, I'm receptive to the divine ideas. They quicken my consciousness to right action and give evidence of perfect results. Therefore, I have no fear. What I need, what I have, at the instant, I have it. I have no doubts, no questions, and no futile search for material answers. God answers. God answers my every need with the exact right idea. God alerts me to the good that is ours. And I accept it. We have a wonderful opportunity. Bless us all.